Commander HFY had been patrolling the outer edge of human space for 3 years. Every day was the same routine. His ship would drift between the star systems, checking for pirates or smugglers, and listening to the endless chatter from Earth. And her colonies. The humans never stopped talking. They sent messages about everything. Weather reports from their farming worlds, music broadcasts from their entertainment stations, trade deals between their merchant ships, scientific discoveries from their research labs, arguments about politics, jokes that made no sense to other species. Even their children sent messages to pen pals on distant planets. HFY found it annoying at first. His own people, the Altarians, believed in quiet dignity. They spoke only when necessary. But after 3 years of listening, he had grown used to the constant noise. It was like background music now. Sometimes he even looked forward to hearing what crazy thing the humans would say next. That morning started like any other. HFY was checking his instruments when his communication officer, Kurth, looked up from his station with a confused expression. "Commander, the human channels are quiet." "What do you mean quiet?" "I mean there is nothing. No signals at all." HFY frowned. "Check your equipment. Maybe something is broken." Kurth ran through all the standard tests. Everything worked perfectly. The receivers were fine. The transmitters were fine. But across all frequencies, human space was completely silent. "This is strange," HFY muttered. "Try to contact their nearest outpost." Kurth sent out a standard greeting on the emergency channel. They waited. No response came back. "Try again," HFY ordered. Still nothing. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Kalavos was having the same problem. She worked at the big research station above Centauri Prime, studying different alien species. Humans were her specialty. She had spent 8 years learning their languages, their customs, their strange ways of thinking. Dr. Voss knew humans better than most aliens did. She knew they argued about everything, even things that did not matter. She knew they told stories, constantly sharing every detail of their lives with anyone who would listen. She knew they sent out signals just to say hello to empty space, hoping someone might answer. That was why the silence worried her so much. Her assistant, a young Centauri named Helix, knocked on her office door. "Doctor, I think our human monitoring equipment is broken." "What makes you think that?" "We have not received a single transmission from human space in 6 hours. Not one." Dr. Voss felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "Show me." They went to the main monitoring room. Dozens of screens normally showed human communication channels. News broadcasts, personal messages, shipping reports, scientific data. The screens were all blank. "Have you tried contacting them directly?" Dr. Voss asked. "Yes." No one answers. Dr. Voss stared at the empty screens. Something was very wrong. The news spread quickly through the Galactic Council. Within hours, representatives from 12 different species were asking the same question. Where were the humans? Ambassador Jorik from the Valian Republic was the first to call for an emergency meeting. He had been dealing with humans for 20 years. They were reliable trading partners, always keeping their agreements and paying their debts on time. They never just disappeared. "This is not normal human behavior," he told the assembled council. "Humans do not go quiet, even when they are angry. With us, they tell us they are angry. Even when they are busy, they send messages saying they are busy. Silence is not in their nature." Senator Veltar from the Corvan Empire disagreed. "Perhaps they are finally learning proper diplomatic behavior. Maybe they realized they talk too much." "You do not understand," Ambassador Jorik replied. "I have been to their worlds. I have seen their cities. Humans cannot stay quiet for 6 hours, let alone 6 minutes. They think out loud. They talk to themselves. They even talk to their pets and their plants. This silence means something is wrong. The council chamber filled with worried murmurs. The humans controlled 17 star systems. They operated the largest merchant fleet in the galaxy. Their trade routes connected dozens of worlds. If something had happened to them, it would affect everyone. High Chancellor Morphin called for order. We need facts, not speculation. I am ordering immediate reconnaissance missions to human space. We must discover what has happened. Back on his patrol ship, Commander HFY received new orders. He was to proceed immediately to the Sol system and investigate the situation. 3 other ships from different species would meet him there. As his ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, HFY found himself hoping they would find the humans safe. Over the years, he had grown fond of their strange, noisy ways. The galaxy would be a much quieter and lonelier place without them. Dr. Voss packed her research equipment and joined the Centauri investigation ship. She brought every piece of data she had collected about human behavior over the past 8 years. If anyone could figure out what happened to the humans, she believed she could. The journey to human space took 2 days. During that time, the investigation teams tried every possible way to contact the missing humans. They sent messages on emergency frequencies. They tried old radio signals that humans used for primitive communication. They even tried sending mathematical sequences, hoping to get some kind of response. Nothing worked. Human space remained as quiet as a tomb. Dr. Voss spent the journey reviewing her notes. She looked for any sign that the humans had been planning something, any hint that they might leave their worlds, any reason they might suddenly stop all communication. She found nothing. The last human messages had been completely normal. A farmer on New Texas reporting good weather for his crops. A scientist on Europa sharing data about ice mining. A group of children on Luna sending birthday wishes to their grandmother on Mars. There had been no warnings, no goodbyes, no explanations. When the investigation fleet finally reached the edge of the Sol system, they found something that made everyone deeply uncomfortable. The massive defense platforms that normally challenge all approaching ships were still there. They were still powered up and fully operational. But they did not respond to any signals. It was as if the humans had simply vanished, leaving all their technology running but empty of operators. Commander HFY stared at the silent defense stations and felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. Whatever had happened to the humans, it had happened fast and without warning. The investigation was just beginning, but already he suspected they were not going to like what they found. Captain Jorik Than had never seen anything like it. His ship, the Star Whisper, drifted slowly through the outer defenses of the Sol system. The massive weapon platforms that should have challenged them, demanded identification, or at least sent warning signals, remained completely silent. "This is impossible," whispered his navigation officer, Kelm. "These are military installations. They should be shooting at us by now." The human defense grid was famous throughout the galaxy. No one could approach Earth without proper clearance. The automated systems were supposed to be foolproof. Yet here they were, flying right through the heart of human space, and nothing was stopping them. "Sir," called his communications officer, "I am detecting power signatures from all the defense stations. They are fully operational, but they are not responding to our presence." Captain Than felt sweat forming on his forehead, despite the cool air in his ship. "Take us closer to the nearest platform, but be ready to run if something goes wrong." The Star Whisper approached the giant weapons platform slowly. The structure was enormous, big enough to house a small city. Its weapon arrays could destroy a battleship with a single shot. But as they got closer, they could see lights moving behind the windows. The station was clearly active and inhabited. "Try hailing them again," Captain Than ordered. "Human defense." Platform 7, this is the Valiant ship Star Whisper. Please respond. The silence stretched on. Inside the platform, they could see automated systems working normally. Lights blinked on control panels. Machinery moved in predictable patterns, but no human voices answered their calls. "Captain," said his science officer, "I am reading life signs aboard that platform." "Human life signs?" "I cannot tell from this distance, but something is alive in there." Captain Fan made a decision that would haunt him for months afterward. Prepare a boarding shuttle. We are going aboard that platform. The boarding party consisted of Captain Fan, 2 security officers, and Dr. Mira Kent, a human scientist, who had been working with the Valium government for 5 years. Dr. Kent had volunteered to join the investigation because she knew human technology better than anyone else on the ship. Their shuttle docked with the platform without any problems. The docking systems worked perfectly, just as if they were expected guests. The airlock opened normally. Everything seemed routine, except for the complete absence of human personnel. The inside of the platform was even more disturbing than the outside. All the systems were running smoothly. The lights were on. The air was fresh and warm. Computer screens showed normal status reports, but the corridors were empty of people. "This is very strange," Dr. Kent said as they walked through the main command center. "Everything looks normal, but where is everybody?" They found the first clue in the crew quarters. Personal belongings were scattered around as if people had left in a hurry. But there were no signs of struggle, no broken furniture, no damage to the walls, no bodies. "Look at this," called one of the security officers. He was standing beside a table in the mess hall. A meal was half eaten, but the food was only a few days old. "Someone was eating here recently." Dr. Kent examined the abandoned meal. "This is typical human food, nothing unusual about it. But why would someone leave in the middle of eating?" They searched the entire platform for 3 hours. They found clothes, personal photos, work equipment, even pets being cared for by automated feeding systems. But they found no humans anywhere. The most disturbing discovery came when they reached the command center. Captain Fan tried to access the main computer, expecting to find locked systems or security barriers. Instead, the computer welcomed him and gave him full access to all information. "This should not be possible," Dr. Kent said. "Human military computers have multiple security layers. They would never give access to unauthorized aliens." "But here we are," Captain Fan replied, scrolling through reports and logs. "And according to these records, this platform had a crew of 200 people just 4 days ago." The computer logs told a strange story. Everything had been normal until exactly 96 hours ago. Then, in the space of 2 minutes, every human on the platform had logged out of their systems and left their posts. The computer recorded their departures as routine shift changes. "This makes no sense," Dr. Kent said. 200 people do not just leave at the same time during a normal shift change. And they would not all leave the platform undefended. While Captain Fan was investigating the defense platform, other ships were exploring different parts of human space. The Centauri vessel carrying Dr. Voss had proceeded directly to Earth's moon, where the humans maintained their largest military base. Luna Base was even more puzzling than the defense platform. The base was enormous, with facilities for 50,000 personnel. It had workshops, living quarters, training areas, and command centers. All of it was running perfectly, maintained by automated systems. But like the defense platform, Luna Base was completely empty of humans. Dr. Voss led her team through the main command center. The massive screens still showed status reports from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Communication systems continued to function normally. Even the coffee machines in the break rooms were still making fresh coffee on schedule. "This is becoming a pattern," Dr. Voss reported to the other investigation ships. "We have now examined 3 major human installations. All are operational. All are maintained. All are empty of people." The investigation teams expanded their search to human civilian areas. They visited New Austin, humanity's main agricultural colony. The planet fed dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. The farms were still operating, tended by robotic systems. The grain silos were full. The livestock were healthy and well fed, but there were no human farmers, no human supervisors, no human families. The pattern was the same everywhere they looked. On Kepler Station, the massive spaceport that handled most galactic trade, cargo continued to be loaded and unloaded by automated systems. Ships arrived, were serviced, and departed on schedule. But the human workers, who normally supervised everything, were nowhere to be found. Commander HFY joined the investigation team, exploring New Terra, humanity's newest colony. The cities were beautiful, with parks and schools and shopping centers. The power systems worked perfectly. Transportation moved people who were not there. Even the streetlights came on at sunset as programmed. But the cities were empty. Not abandoned, not destroyed, just empty. "I have never seen anything like this," Commander HFY reported to the other ships. "It is as if every human in the galaxy simply decided to leave at the same time, but they left everything running behind them." Dr. Kent made the most disturbing discovery of all while examining records on New Terra. She found security footage from the day the humans disappeared. The video showed normal daily life right up until a specific moment. Then, within minutes, every human in view simply walked away from whatever they were doing and left. They did not run. They did not appear frightened. They just stopped what they were doing and walked away calmly, as if they had somewhere else to be. "This is not natural behavior," Dr. Kent reported to the investigation fleet. "Humans do not act like this. Even in emergencies, there would be confusion, panic, or at least some attempt to secure their equipment. But these people just left everything and walked away." The investigation team spent 2 weeks searching human space. They examined 17 star systems and hundreds of installations. The pattern was always the same. Human technology functioning perfectly, human areas maintained and clean, but no humans anywhere. By the end of the 2nd week, the investigators were forced to accept an impossible conclusion. Somehow, every human in the galaxy had vanished, without leaving any trace of where they had gone or why they had left. The mystery was complete, and it was terrifying. Senator Veltar was in the middle of his morning meal when the emergency communication arrived. The message was short and direct. All contact with Corvani's Prime had been lost. The homeworld of the Corvan Empire, with its 12 billion citizens, had gone completely silent. At first, Senator Veltar was not worried. Communication problems happen sometimes. Equipment failed. Solar storms interfered with signals. There were many simple explanations for temporary communication loss, but as the hours passed, his concern grew. Corvani's Prime was not some remote colony that might lose contact for days. It was the heart of the Corvan Empire, protected by the most powerful military fleet in the galaxy. The planet had backup communication systems, emergency transmitters, and military channels that were supposed to work even during disasters, but none of them were responding. "Send a ship to investigate," Senator Veltar ordered his aide. "I want to know what is happening on my homeworld." The aide looked nervous. "Sir, we have been trying to contact our ships near Corvani's Prime for the past 6 hours. None of them are answering either." Senator Veltar felt a cold fear growing in his chest. "What do you mean? None of them are answering?" "The entire Corvani's system has gone quiet, sir. Just like the human systems did 3 weeks ago." The words hit Senator Veltar like a physical blow. 3 weeks earlier, he had dismissed the human disappearance as unimportant. Humans were strange creatures who did strange things. If they wanted to vanish, that was their problem. But the Corvani were different. They were ancient, proud, and powerful. They had ruled their space for thousands of years. They did not simply disappear. Within hours, the news reached every corner of the galaxy. The Corvan Empire, the second most powerful military force in known space, had suffered the same fate as the humans. Complete silence. No communication. No explanation. The Galactic Council called another emergency session. This time, nobody dismissed the situation as unimportant. Fear filled the council chambers as representatives realized that whatever had happened to the humans was happening to other species as well. High Chancellor Morphin stood before the assembled delegates. We face a crisis unlike anything in galactic history. 2 major civilizations have vanished without explanation. We must discover what is happening before it spreads further. Dr. Voss was already preparing to leave for Corvan space when the call came. Her experience investigating the human disappearance made her the obvious choice to lead the new investigation. But this time, she would not be going alone. A massive investigation fleet assembled at the neutral station of Nexus Prime. Ships from 8 different species joined the effort. Military vessels, science ships, and support craft, all prepared for the journey to Corvani's Prime. Commander Zex High volunteered his ship for the mission. The mystery of the human disappearance had been haunting him for weeks. He needed to understand what was happening, even if the truth was terrifying. The journey to Corvan space took 3 days. During the trip, Dr. Voss shared her findings from the human investigation with the other scientists. The patterns were disturbing. Advanced civilizations vanishing without violence. Technology left running but unattended. No signs of struggle or disaster. If the same thing has happened to the Corvani, Dr. Voss explained to the assembled investigators, then we are dealing with something that can make entire civilizations disappear at will. Captain Jorik Than, who had investigated the human defense platforms, was also part of the new mission. He had been having nightmares about empty corridors and abandoned meals for weeks. The thought of finding the same thing in Corvan space made him sick with worry. When the investigation fleet reached the edge of the Corvana system, they found exactly what they feared. The massive Corvan battleships that normally patrolled the outer system were still there, but they were not responding to communication attempts. This is exactly like the human defense platforms, Captain Than reported to the fleet. The ships are powered up and operational, but nobody is answering our calls. The fleet approached Corvana's Prime carefully. The planet was beautiful from space, with blue oceans and green continents. The orbital stations around the planet were still functioning. Normally, traffic control systems guided automated cargo ships to their docking ports. Everything looked peaceful and normal, but there were no Corvani. Voices on the communication channels. Landing parties deployed to the planet's surface. The first team, led by Dr. Voss, touched down in the capital city of Volcoron. The city was home to 50 million Corvani and served as the political center of their empire. The streets were empty, not destroyed, not damaged, just empty. Vehicles sat parked along the roadways as if their drivers had simply gotten out and walked away. Shops remained open with their lights on and their doors unlocked. Public transportation systems continued running on schedule, carrying no passengers. This is identical to what we found in human space, Dr. Voss reported to the orbiting ships. Everything is functional, everything is maintained, but the people are gone. The investigation teams spread out across the planet. They visited government buildings, military bases, schools, and residential areas. Everywhere they went, they found the same thing. Signs of recent activity, But no people dot in the great library of Velcoron. Books lay open on reading tables as if scholars had just stepped away for a moment. In restaurants, meals sat half-finished on tables. In homes, families' belongings were scattered around as if people had been in the middle of their daily routines when something called them away. Unlike the human disappearance, this time the investigators found something new. Hidden in a deep basement beneath the Corvan military headquarters, Dr. Voss discovered a room filled with strange technology. The equipment was unlike anything she had ever seen. It was clearly not Corvan technology, but it had been installed recently. The machinery hummed with power and displayed readings on screens covered with symbols that belonged to no known language. "This equipment is scanning something," reported engineer Helix Torn, a specialist in alien technology. "The sensors are pointed toward the center of the galaxy, gathering data on energy signatures and population densities." Dr. Voss felt her blood turn cold. Someone has been watching us. Someone has been studying our civilizations. The same type of equipment was found in human space when the investigation teams returned to search more carefully. Hidden monitoring stations on remote asteroids, scanning equipment in abandoned research facilities, and data collection systems that had been secretly gathering information for years. "Someone has been planning this," Dr. Voss reported to the Galactic Council. "The disappearances are not random. They are part of a coordinated effort by someone who has been studying us for a long time." As the investigation teams worked to understand the mysterious technology, long-range sensors detected something that made everyone's worst fears come true. At the very edge of the galaxy, moving inward at incredible speed, a massive fleet of unknown ships was approaching. The ships were enormous, each one larger than the biggest space station. There were hundreds of them, moving in perfect formation toward the galactic center. Their technology was so advanced that the sensor readings made no sense. "They are not from our galaxy," reported the chief astronomer at Nexus Prime. "These ships are coming from the void between galaxies. They have been traveling for thousands of years." As the investigation teams tried to process this information, more bad news arrived. 2 more civilizations had gone silent. The Nexari Republic and the Free Traders Alliance had both suffered the same fate as the humans and Corvani. The pattern was becoming clear. The most advanced, most powerful civilizations in the galaxy were disappearing one by one. And something was coming from outside the galaxy to finish whatever plan had been set in motion. Dr. Voss stared at the data from the approaching fleet and realized the horrible truth. The galaxy was being harvested. Someone was collecting the most advanced species, and they had been planning this operation for a very long time. "We need to warn everyone," she said to Commanders X-High. "Whatever is coming, we need to prepare for it." But even as she spoke, she wondered if it was already too late. The approaching fleet was larger and more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen, and they had been planning this attack for longer than any of the galactic civilizations had existed. The hunters were coming, and they had been preparing for this moment for thousands of years. The panic spread through the galaxy faster than the speed of light. Within 48 hours of the first reports about the approaching alien fleet, 2 more civilizations went completely silent. The Nexari Republic, known for having the best spies and intelligence networks in the galaxy, simply stopped communicating. 7 worlds, 3 billion people, gone without a word. The Free Traders Alliance followed 6 hours later. Their mobile fleets, which carried goods between every inhabited system, all went quiet at exactly the same time. Ships that had been talking to port controllers one minute were silent the next. Admiral Kathraxis sat in the command center of the United Worlds Fleet headquarters, staring at the growing list of missing civilizations. He had spent 30 years in the military, fighting pirates and settling disputes between species. But this was beyond anything he had ever imagined. Show me the pattern again. He ordered his intelligence officer. Lieutenant Pex brought up the galactic map on the main screen. Red dots marked the locations of the vanished civilizations. The humans controlled key hyperspace routes between the major sectors. The Corvani had the strongest military fleet. The Nexari ran the best intelligence operations. The free traders managed most of the galaxy's commerce. They are not picking random targets, Admiral Raxus said grimly. They are taking the civilizations that matter most. The ones with the best technology, the strongest militaries, the most strategic importance. Dr. Voss, who had rushed back from Corvin space, stood beside the Admiral. The monitoring equipment we found confirms this. Someone has been studying U.S. for years, maybe decades. They know exactly which civilizations to target first. The holographic display showed the approaching alien fleet in terrifying detail. Hundreds of massive ships, each 1 kilometer long, moving toward the galactic center at impossible speeds. The technology readings from the ships made no sense to galactic scientists. The energy signatures were off the charts. How long until they reached the core systems? Admiral Raxus asked. At their current speed, 6 days, replied his navigation officer. But, sir, they could probably move faster if they wanted to. It is almost like they are taking their time. Dr. Voss felt a chill run down her spine. They are not in a hurry because they think they have already won. They have been removing the civilizations that could fight them. By the time they arrive, there will be no organized resistance left. Commander Zex High, who had remained inhuman, space to continue investigating, sent an urgent message to the fleet headquarters. His teams had discovered something important in the abandoned human research facilities. We found records, his transmission said, hidden files in the deepest levels of their science stations. The humans were not just monitoring the strange equipment, they were studying it. They had been tracking unusual energy signatures from outside the galaxy for months before they disappeared. The message continued with more disturbing news. The humans were not caught by surprise. Their disappearance was planned. We found evacuation schedules, supply manifests, and coordination protocols. They knew what was coming, and they prepared for it. This revelation changed everything. If the humans had known about the threat, why had they not warned the other species? Why had they simply vanished instead of fighting? Captain Jorik Than, who was still investigating the empty human worlds, discovered part of the answer. In a hidden chamber beneath the surface of Luna, he found a massive computer facility that was still running. The computers were processing enormous amounts of data, analyzing the alien technology, and tracking the movements of the approaching fleet. The humans did not abandon their worlds, Captain Than reported. They evacuated them. This entire facility is automated, running analyses, and gathering intelligence. They are still watching, still preparing. Dr. Voss realized the implications immediately. If the humans evacuated instead of being taken, then the other missing civilizations might have done the same thing. This might not be an invasion. This might be a coordinated defense operation. But before anyone could investigate this theory further, the situation became much worse. The alien fleet had divided into smaller groups, each one heading toward a different sector of the galaxy. They were not just coming to the core systems. They were spreading out to cover everything at the same time. The monitoring stations that had been hidden throughout the galaxy began broadcasting. The signals were not in any known language, but the meaning was clear. The broadcasts contained detailed information about every inhabited world, every military installation, every technological capability in the galaxy. They have been preparing a complete inventory of our civilizations, Engineer Helix Torn reported. From his analysis station, they know our strengths, our weaknesses, our resources, everything. The broadcasts also contain something else, that made everyone's blood run cold. Images from the missing worlds, showing them exactly as the investigation teams had found them. Empty but functioning, maintained but abandoned. The aliens were displaying their previous victories. Like trophies. Dr. Voss studied the images and noticed something the others had missed. Look at the timestamps on these images. They were taken after the investigation teams left. Someone is still on those worlds, still maintaining them, still keeping them running. As this realization sank in, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. Species that had never worked together before were suddenly coordinating their defenses. Military fleets were moving into new formations. Scientists were sharing research that had been kept secret for centuries. This is unprecedented, Admiral Raxes observed. In all of galactic history, we have never seen this level of cooperation between different species. The coordination was happening too quickly and too smoothly to be spontaneous. Someone was organizing it, guiding it, making it possible. The same someone who had been preparing for this invasion for months or years. Dr. Voss made the connection. First, the humans. They are still out there, still organizing. The disappearances were not defeats. They were strategic withdrawals. They have been preparing the galaxy for this fight. As if responding to her words, new signals began appearing on the communication networks. Not from the missing civilizations directly, but from automated systems that were helping coordinate the galactic defense. Supply shipments were being redirected to strategic locations. Military units were receiving new orders. Scientists were getting access to research data they had never seen before. The pattern was becoming clear. While the galaxy had been panicking about the disappearances, the missing civilizations had been working together in secret, preparing for the arrival of the alien fleet, but the approaching enemy was still massive and still dangerous. Even with coordination and preparation, the galaxy faced an enemy that had technology far beyond anything they had ever seen. The first test came when a small group of alien ships entered the outer rim, moving toward a mining colony called Haven's Rest. The colony had only a few 100,000 inhabitants and minimal defenses. It should have been an easy target. Instead, the alien ships encountered something they had not expected. The colony was defended by ships from 6 different species, all working together with perfect coordination. The defense was so well organized that it looked like it had been planned for months. The alien ships were forced to retreat. For the first time since they had appeared, the invaders had been stopped. Dr. Voss watched the battle reports with growing hope. They did not expect organized resistance. Their plan depended on facing scattered, uncoordinated civilizations. But the missing species have been preparing the galaxy for unified defense. Admiral Raxes was less optimistic. One small victory does not mean we can win this war. That was just a scouting force. When their main fleet arrives, we will face hundreds of ships that each outgun our largest battleships. As if to prove his point, the alien broadcasts changed. Instead of showing empty worlds, they began displaying images of the approaching main fleet. Ship after ship, stretching across space like a metal ocean. The message was clear. The real battle had not even begun yet, but for the first time since the crisis started, the galaxy was not facing the threat alone. Somewhere out there, the missing civilizations were still fighting, still planning, still preparing. The question was whether their preparations would be enough to stop an enemy that had been planning this invasion for thousands of years. The galaxy held its breath and waited for the next move in a game that would determine the survival of every living being in known space. The transmission came from deep within the asteroid belt around Sol. Dr. Voss was analyzing the latest battle reports when her communication officer suddenly went silent, staring at his screen with wide eyes. "Doctor, you need to see this. We are receiving a signal from human space." Dr. Voss rushed to the communication station. For the first time in 2 months, a human voice was speaking on the galactic networks. "This is Dr. Liam Nash, calling from Research Station Haven. I am requesting immediate contact with the Galactic Council. I have critical information about the current crisis." The message was repeated every few minutes, along with coordinates. For a location that did not appear on any star charts, Dr. Voss felt her hands shaking as she realized what this meant. The humans were still alive, and they were ready to talk. Within hours, a small fleet of ships was heading toward the coordinates. Dr. Voss led the mission, accompanied by Admiral Raxes and representatives from the remaining free civilizations. They found the hidden station buried inside a massive asteroid, completely invisible to normal sensors. The station was enormous, much larger than it appeared from outside. Docking bays opened to receive their ships, and artificial gravity pulled them inside. As they walked through the corridors, they saw something that made them stop in amazement. The station was full of people. Not just humans, but Corvani, Nexari, free traders, and members of every civilization that had supposedly disappeared. They were all working together, operating advanced equipment that looked like nothing any of them had seen before. Dr. Liam Nash met them at the main entrance. He was a tall, thin man with tired eyes and hands stained from working with unfamiliar technology. Behind him stood representatives from all the missing civilizations. "Welcome to Haven Station," Dr. Nash said. "I apologize for the deception, but it was necessary for our survival." Admiral Raxes stared at the activity around them. "You are all supposed to be missing. The galaxy thinks you were captured or killed." "That was the plan," replied Commander Kalavex, a Corvani military officer. "We needed the enemy to believe they had succeeded in removing the galaxy's main defenses." Dr. Nash led them to a briefing room where the full scope of the operation was revealed. The walls were covered with charts, technical diagrams, and images of the approaching alien fleet. "The enemy calls themselves the Harvesters," Dr. Nash explained. "They have been operating for millions of years, moving from galaxy to galaxy. They collect advanced civilizations and use them for purposes we do not fully understand." Agent Ryan Cole, a human intelligence operative, took over the briefing. "We discovered their existence 6 months ago when our deep space monitoring stations detected their advanced scouts. We realized immediately that normal military resistance would be hopeless." The images on the wall showed the true size of the Harvester fleet. Thousands of ships, each one capable of destroying entire star systems. Technology so advanced that it seemed like magic compared to galactic science. "They follow the same pattern every time," Agent Cole continued. "They send advanced teams to study target civilizations for years or decades. Then they eliminate the most dangerous species first, leaving only primitive worlds behind." Dr. Voss felt sick as she understood the implications. "They have done this before, many times. Every 50,000 years, according to the records we found," Dr. Nash confirmed. "They sweep through galaxies, harvest the advanced civilizations, and leave the rest to develop again. It is an endless cycle." Captain Lisa Ward, commanding officer of the hidden human fleet, showed them the evidence. Ancient ruins on dozens of worlds, all showing signs of sudden abandonment. Species that had developed advanced technology and then vanished without explanation. "We found records of previous harvest cycles in the ruins on dead worlds," Captain Ward explained. "The same technology signatures, the same patterns of disappearance. This has been happening for millions of years." The revelation was overwhelming, but the missing civilizations had not been idle. While the galaxy believed they were gone, they had been working desperately to understand Harvester technology and develop countermeasures. "We managed to capture one of their scout ships," Engineer Beth Price reported. "It took us 3 months to break through their technology, but we learned how their weapons work how their ships move, how their communication systems operate. The captured technology had led to an incredible discovery. The harvesters were not invincible. Their technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also incredibly old. They had not significantly improved their weapons or defenses in thousands of years. They have become overconfident, Agent Cole explained. They expect resistance from individual civilizations, but they have never faced coordinated galactic defense. Their tactics have not changed because they have never needed to change. More importantly, the hidden civilizations had discovered why the harvesters returned every 50,000 years. They were not just collecting civilizations for resources or slaves. They were preventing galactic intelligence from reaching a critical point that would threaten their own existence. There is a level of technological and social development that they fear, Dr. Nash said. When civilizations begin working together across species lines, when they start sharing technology and knowledge freely, they become dangerous to the harvesters. The galaxy was approaching that critical point. The level of cooperation and technology sharing that had developed over the past few decades was exactly what the harvesters came to prevent. That is why they target the most advanced civilizations. First, Commander Vex explained, they remove the species that would lead the technological revolution. But this time, the harvesters had made a crucial mistake. By targeting the most advanced civilizations, they had forced those species to work together in ways they never had before. The evacuation and hiding operation had created the exact kind of cooperation that the harvesters feared most. We have been preparing for their arrival, Captain Ward said. Every ship they think they destroyed, every base they think they captured, is actually part of our defense network. The hidden fleets were enormous. Ships from all the evacuated civilizations, modified with hybrid technology that combined the best features of each species' designs. Weapons that used harvester principles, but were built with galactic engineering. Defenses that the harvesters would not expect, because they had never encountered them before. The galaxy thinks we are gone, but we have actually been organizing the largest military operation in galactic history, Agent Cole said. But the most important discovery was about the harvesters themselves. They were not an invading army from another galaxy. They were refugees, running from something even more dangerous than themselves. Their home galaxy was destroyed by the very technological development they are trying to prevent, Dr. Nash explained. They are trying to keep other galaxies from developing the same destructive capabilities. This knowledge changed everything. The harvesters were not evil conquerors. They were terrified survivors, trying to prevent other civilizations from making the same mistakes their ancestors had made. They harvest civilizations to save them from destroying themselves, Dr. Nash continued. In their minds, they are preventing galactic suicide. But their methods were still wrong, and their fear was based on incomplete understanding. The current galactic civilizations were developing cooperation and wisdom along with technology. They were not making the same mistakes that had destroyed the harvesters' home. We can prove to them that we are different, Dr. Voss realized. We can show them that this galaxy can handle advanced technology responsibly. Admiral Raxes was skeptical. And if they refuse to listen? If they decide to harvest us anyway? Captain Ward's expression hardened. Then we fight. We have been preparing for 6 months. We have weapons they do not expect, tactics they have never seen, and coordination they have never faced. The briefing continued for hours as the representatives learned about the massive deception that had been carried out. Every disappearance had been carefully planned. Every evacuation had been coordinated. Every abandoned world had been left as bait to make the harvesters overconfident. As the meeting ended, Dr. Voss realized that the galaxy faced a choice. They could try to negotiate with the harvesters, attempt to prove that this galaxy deserved to survive, or they could fight a war against an enemy that had never been defeated. What happens now? Admiral Raxes asked. Agent Cole smiled grimly. Now we spring the trap. The harvesters think they are arriving to collect a defenseless galaxy. Instead, they are about to face the most coordinated resistance in galactic history. The missing civilizations were ready to reveal themselves, and the real battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin. The Harvester main fleet emerged from hyperspace, expecting to find a galaxy in chaos. Their advanced scouts had reported the successful removal of all major military threats. The remaining civilizations should have been scattered, frightened, and easy to collect. Instead, they found the largest coordinated military force in galactic history waiting for them. Meryl, Kate Brooks, stood on the command deck of the hidden Fortress World Haven, watching as thousands of ships revealed themselves from behind asteroids, moons, and artificial camouflage. Ships from every evacuated civilization, modified with hybrid technology, and crewed by species working together for the first time. All units, this is Admiral Brooks, she announced across the Galactic Fleet Network. Operation Silent Thunder is now active. Show them what cooperation can accomplish. The first wave of attacks was not meant to destroy the Harvester fleet. That would have been impossible. Instead, the attacks were carefully designed to gather information about Harvester defensive systems and tactical responses. Human ships equipped with Corvani weapons attacked from one direction while Nexari vessels using free trader mobility struck from another. Each attack provided data about how the Harvesters responded to different threats. Captain Maya Fox, leading a squadron of hybrid fighters, watched the enemy formations with growing excitement. They are reacting exactly as we predicted, she reported to the command ship. Their tactics have not changed in thousands of years. The Harvesters responded to each attack with the same methodical precision they had used for millions of years. Their formations were perfect. Their responses were efficient, but they were also completely predictable. Dr. Nash, monitoring the battle from Haven Station, coordinated the data collection with teams of scientists from all the hidden civilizations. The enemy is incredibly advanced, but they have become rigid in their thinking. They expect resistance patterns that worked against primitive civilizations. The real breakthrough came when engineer Rick Stone, working with technology specialists from 6 different species, successfully hacked into the Harvester communication network. For the first time in millions of years, someone was listening to the Harvester's internal communications. They are confused, Rick reported to Admiral Brooks. They keep asking each other how so many species are working together. This level of coordination is completely outside their experience. The confusion was working in the galaxy's favor, but the Harvesters still had overwhelming technological superiority. Their ships could destroy entire fleets with single shots. Their defenses could withstand attacks that would level planets. The battle was going to be won or lost based on strategy, not firepower. Admiral Brooks activated the second phase of the operation. Instead of attacking the Harvester ships directly, the Galactic Fleet began targeting their command and control systems. Ships from different species worked together to create coordinated attacks that the Harvesters could not predict or counter. Their technology is superior, but their thinking is limited, observed Commander Vex, leading a group of Corvani heavy cruisers. They cannot adapt to tactics they have never seen before. The Harvesters began to show signs of strain. They're perfect. Formations started to break down as they tried to respond to attacks coming from directions they had not expected. For the first time in their long history, they were facing an enemy that could learn and adapt faster than they could. But the real turning point came when Dr. Voss, working with the captured Harvester technology, discovered the location of the ray. Command ships. The Harvester fleet was controlled by massive motherships hidden at the edge of the battle. Destroy those ships, and the entire fleet would become helpless. The command ships are their weakness, Dr. Voss reported to the fleet commanders. They have been using the same command structure for millions of years. If we can reach those motherships, "We can end this war." The problem was that the motherships were protected by the most powerful weapons in the Harvester fleet. Any direct attack would be suicide. The galaxy needed a different approach. Captain Lisa Ward came up with a solution. Instead of attacking the motherships directly, they would use the Harvester's own rigidity against them. The Galactic fleet would create a tactical situation that the Harvesters had never encountered before, forcing them to make mistakes. "We are going to do something that has never been tried in galactic warfare," Captain Ward announced to the fleet. "We are going to coordinate an attack using every species at the same time." The plan was incredibly complex. Ships from 12 different civilizations would attack in perfect coordination, using their unique strengths to create a combined assault that no single species could have managed alone. Human ships provided coordination and communication. Corvani vessels delivered heavy firepower. Nexari ships used stealth and speed. Free trader vessels provided mobility and logistics. Each species contributed what they did best to a single, unified effort. The Harvesters had never faced anything like it. Their ancient tactical computers could not process a battle involving so many different types of ships working together. Their responses became slower and less effective as they tried to analyze tactics that had never existed before. Engineer Rick Stone, still monitoring Harvester communications, reported growing panic in their command structure. They are requesting instructions from their motherships. They do not know how to respond to coordinated multi-species tactics. The confusion created the opening the galaxy needed. While the Harvester fleet struggled to adapt to the unprecedented battle, a small force of the fastest ships from each species broke through their lines and raced toward the command motherships. Maya Fox led the attack on the first mothership. Her mixed squadron of human, Corvani, and Nexari fighters used combined tactics that the mothership's defenses could not counter. Working together, they accomplished what no single species could have done alone. The first mothership fell, and immediately a section of the Harvester fleet became confused and disorganized. The pattern was clear. Destroy the command ships, and the ancient fleet would collapse. But the Harvesters had one last surprise. As their command structure began to fail, they activated a communication system that had been silent for millions of years. They were calling for help from something even more powerful than themselves. New contacts appearing at the edge of the system, reported the sensor operator on Admiral Brooks' command ship. Whatever is coming, it makes the Harvester fleet look small. For a moment, the galaxy faced the possibility that they had won one battle only to face an even greater threat. But then the new arrivals sent a message that changed everything. "This is the Ancients' Council," the transmission said. "We have been watching this battle with great interest. The Harvesters have exceeded their authority." The new ships belonged to the civilization that had created the Harvesters millions of years ago. They had been watching the galaxy's development, waiting to see if this cycle of civilizations could prove themselves worthy of survival. "Your species have demonstrated something we have not seen in many cycles," the ancient message continued. "True cooperation across species lines. The Harvester's mission is ended. This galaxy has earned the right to develop without interference." The ancient ships moved among the Harvester fleet, and one by one, the massive Harvester vessels powered down their weapons and began withdrawing toward the galactic edge. The war was over. The galaxy had won not through superior firepower, but through cooperation and unity that had never existed before. Admiral Brooks watched the Harvester fleet depart and realized that the galaxy had changed forever. The crisis had forced different species to work together in ways they never had before. The cooperation that had saved them would continue long after the threat was gone. Dr. Voss, monitoring the aftermath from Haven Station, smiled as she watched ships from different civilizations sharing technology and coordinating reconstruction efforts. The galaxy had learned to speak with one voice, And that voice was stronger than any single species could ever be. The humans had gone quiet, but in that silence, they had helped the galaxy find its voice. And that voice would never be silenced again.